Hello everyone, my name is Deepak Sharma and I'll be recording a lecture today which is for your CH50 2023 and today the main focus for today's lecture will be chapter 5 which primarily focus on inventory setup and some of the transactions from AP and account receivable module, and then at the end you'll be looking at how to make an adjustment entry for inventory. Okay. So if you look at this particular chapter, you see that you have exercise 5.1 to 5.22, and the first 6 exercises that you have is primarily focused on setting up the inventory, and the rest of these exercises from 5.7 all the way to 5.19 is primarily focused on accounts payable and account receivable module, which is something that you have been doing in chapter 2 and 3 as well, and these are going to be a good practice for you to recap some of the transactions that you have been already recording. So I'm not going to primarily focus on the transactions. My primary focus for today's lecture will be inventory setup and some of the adjustment entries that you'll be, not some, the inventory adjustment that you will be recording for inventory, and that's going to most likely happen at the end of the month, or for some companies maybe at the end of the quarter or at the end of the year as well. To start this chapter, you need the database file. Okay, so for this company, for this chapter, we are working on a company called Printers. So when you are completing this chapter, you need this database file. So you either have it from your instructor or you will have it from the publisher when you buy the book online. They will give you the ready files for the chapters as well as the ready file for your China exercise. So for my class, you guys are given these exercises, the chapter files on Blackboard. So if you remember the file that you have, which is chapter ready file, it has all these files. For chapter 5, you have 2 files, printers and printers 2. So I'll be using printer, and I want you guys to use printers files as well, printers files as well. And this file we will use to start your chapter 5, and then you will finish that till the end of the chapter. Okay, printer 2 is the file that you're using if you don't want the inventory setup, you only want to focus on the transactions. Then when you're using printers 2, you will start your chapter from exercise 5.7. Okay, that means you skip the inventory setup. Okay, inventory setup is important for you to know, so I will say that if you have not done the inventory setup, I would recommend you to start from beginning, so that way this is your own file and you have done everything from beginning till the end. So obviously to get started you need the chapter printer file, so you will unzip the file and then have it open. Okay, so I already have unzipped the file and had it open on my computer. Okay, this is printers 2, so I'm gonna go back and open printer 1. So I'm going to go back. Okay, and when you open the file, you will select the session date as January 1. Now just as a recap, I already activated the inventory module before I started the lecture, but I'll show you where to go to activate the inventory module. Just a quick recap as what is this inventory module. So if your company is not using inventory module, that means that you're using periodic inventory system. Okay, and you know that from chapter 2 and chapter 3, every time you're buying or selling inventory, you're always selecting an item. So that means that item is being tracked through the inventory module. So that means that the company is using perpetual inventory system. So if you're using perpetual inventory system, if you recall your accounting 111 course, every time we're buying inventory, we put it in the asset as an inventory, and whenever we sell the inventory, we take it out of the inventory and book them as a cost of goods sold. So as soon as we started using inventory module, we want to make sure that we have inventory account. So every item we're going to create, it will be linked to the inventory account in the asset, and then it will have its own cost of goods sold account, which will be posted anytime we sell that particular item. And then also when you're buying the inventory, we post it into the inventory account, so it's we park in the assets until it's sold. So that's the basic concept behind using perpetual inventory system. Okay, so obviously I recommend you guys to read through what I have written over here for you to understand why we use inventory module, what is the purpose there, and a little bit background about this company. And that's the trial balance that you're given on January 1. So we have all these inventory account with these balances. But see, this has the balances, but we don't have that in the inventory module. So now when we activate that, we want to make sure that we set up all that inventory. That inventory should match with these numbers that you have in your balance sheet as an asset. And you can cross check when you open the file. These are the numbers you should have, and this is the balances you have in AP and AR, and that's already set up for you. So obviously we'll be using a printer file, so we open the file, which I already did. So I completed the step 1, which is unzipping the file, and then also completed opening the file as well. And obviously we're working on this printer, and if you are using printer 2, you skip all that and jump on exercise 5.7. You can do that if you want to, but I do still want you to practice the setup. And then if you feel comfortable the setup is done, you can continue with the exercise 5.7. But if you're not comfortable, you can close this file and then open printer 2 and then use the printer 2 to start your exercise 5.7. Use the session date January 1, which I just did. And now this is the step that I already did, so but I'll show you guys where to do. So when you open the file, you don't see the inventory module on your side. Okay, so to activate the inventory module, you go right here, setup, user preferences, and then over here, view, and then you check mark these inventory stuff, and then press OK, and then you have this inventory module right here. So when you have the inventory module right hand side here, you see there's no inventory header. Inventory is not there. And you see this history tab came in because the system wants you to set up the inventory module here, add all the inventory that you have, so that way this update that, and also link them to the balance sheet account, and they cross check that, and then after that we'll make that inventory module ready mode. So anytime we adding or removing inventory or modifying the inventory, you can use this tab. And these two tabs in the middle, we're not going to be using this in this chapter or in this test book. Build from bill of material, build from item assembly. So these features, when you're building an item from your existing inventory, you will use these feature, right? And if you're assembling or you're spending some labor cost as well, you do assembly. But if you're just putting them together in a box, then you can use build bill of material. We're going to be doing some adjustment entry as well at the end of the month. So I'll show you how to do and how we're going to do the adjust inventory. And we also have this tab here called transfer inventory. So if your company is using multiple locations for inventory, you can keep track of that. And then anytime you move the inventory from one location to another, you can use this feature to move that inventory from locations. Obviously we won't do that in this chapter or in this test book. So we already activated the inventory module, and I explained you guys what this is. And then right here in this exercise 7, what they want us to do is they want you to customize your journal. And what this means that we want to check mark the item number from purchase order, purchase invoices, order, sales invoice, sales order, sales code. And so that way we can use inventory or so the item in our journals that we're going to be using to record transactions. So to do that, if you see that it's already active, then you don't worry about, but we want to make sure that we uncheck that in all those things that I just mentioned. So you can either go straight to the journal, or you can take a shortcut, go into one of the purchase invoice, and we can click on custom journal right here. Okay, so what I did, I went into the purchase invoices, open an invoice, and click on the custom journal. Or you can go into the setup and find the custom journal from there as well. So whatever is easier, you can do that. So here I'll go into purchase invoice, look in the column. See, this one was initially checked. I already unchecked before I started the recording. So here I'm gonna uncheck this one. I think they did ask us to uncheck the divisions as well. Payable, click on the custom journal, invoice, and purchase. When I click on this column, you need to remove this item, this check mark in the item field, and do that for all the other. Leave this one unchecked, allocation and the division. So we will leave that checked, not to leave them checked. Okay, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So leave them checked, and then here do the same thing. This one is okay, there's no allocation here. Sales invoice column, uncheck that, uncheck that. Sales card, uncheck that as well, and that's what we're supposed to do, and we did that, and press OK, and I close it. Okay, that was your step number 7, and then we close that, exit it, and then you can look at that and open your chart of accounts and notice that there's these inventory account that you have. Okay, this is just for you to see, nothing to do. Okay, you can display your chart of accounts and see that these some of the accounts that you'll be using in the link up, which will be your inventory accounts and the cost of goods sold account. Okay, and one more thing that I'll show you guys, which you know that from your accounting 111, when you're using inventory module, you either have to use a weighted average method or first in first out. So the Sage 50, because it does the adjustment entries, or not the adjustment, the cost of goods sold entries automatically on the back end. So you need to tell the system which method to use. So we're gonna go back and make sure we select one of this. So if this company use average cost, okay, so again, one of the accounting principle state that consistency is a primary principle. So once we pick one method, you want to stick with that method, not switch it around. And then here, how do you want the profit evaluation, margin versus markup? How do you want the inventory to be sorted, and allow the inventory level to below 0? So if you check that one, that means that it will let you go the inventory in the negative or 0. But if you allow inventory level to go to below 0, so that means that if you are selling inventory and you are selling more than what you have, it will let you record the transaction. So what I usually do is, the best practice is do not have them checked, because that way that if you're trying to sell more than what you have, it gives you a warning. So that way you can have a negative inventory. So I always say that leave that unchecked. So I'll show you guys where it is. Setup, settings, and inventory here, options, average, and we're using margin, I think. Yeah, and use the description, allow the inventory, so I don't want to check that. Okay, and click on the left hand for the price listing, and these are your price listings. So by default you have 3 different types of prices that you can. If you have more, you can also add or modify these names. Location, we only use one location, but if you have multiple, you can create multiple locations here. Click on this left panel and then click on the categories. So if you have multiple categories of the inventory, you can create multiple categories here. Okay, the next part we have is we don't gonna use any extra fields, but if you want to have more fields for inventory setup, you can also do that. If you have barcodes, or if you have color of the inventory, you can also create custom fields for your inventory. Then we have a link up. So there's 2 link ups we need to do. So if your company is assembling products, you can have a labor cost allocated to the assembly product, and this account is the one that we use to write off the inventory when it's go up or down, and this is automatically gets posted when we do the inventory adjustment. Okay, so this company doesn't do the assembly, so we're not going to put anything in the assembly, but for the adjustment we're going to select 5050 account. So over here we can do 5050 account, which is inventory adjustment, and press OK, and all the things that we have changed will automatically get saved. Okay, once that part is done, now what we're doing is we're going to be creating inventory. Okay, So from the home, we're going to click on the inventory and service module and click on the inventory. So yeah, we'll just go right here. And then from the inventory, we're going to create inventory. Okay, so you can either click on this or you can go here and say add inventory. And when you come right here, this is the window that you use to add your inventory into the system. Okay, so before I get there, I'm going to show you guys what we're going to do here. Okay, you're given this particular chart. Okay, so this particular chart is the list of inventory that was given to you by the warehouse manager, saying that on January 1 of 2025, this is the inventory that you have. These are the list of your inventory. These are the number of products. Sorry, this is the minimum, and this is the quantity you have. Okay, this value, that is the total value, is driven based on the cost that you are inputting. Okay, so you put the total quantity and you're going to put the dollar value, that is the total value of that inventory. So we're not putting an average cost, we're simply going to put how much quantity you have, what is the value of the total inventory, and then that number should add up to this number, which will eventually be tracked into the system along with your asset account that is sitting on the balance sheet. Okay, so if by chance if you did one item and it gives you a message saying that are you done setting up the inventory, you must say no, because if you do that, it's going to check one of the inventory account and it says that it matches, it assumes that you're done the inventory setup, it will convert your company file to the ready mode. Okay, you don't want to do that because you want to make sure that all these numbers are set up, and then this number agrees with your inventory summary report, and then you will able to close this and then move on to the next step. So the next which exercise, or the steps that you have in this exercise, gives you more detail about how to set up the inventory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the first one with you in detail, and then after that I'll make it a little bit more quick. I'll move the screen on the other side and I'll set up all these 1 2 3 4 5 inventory. Okay, so here I'm going to start with the first one, which is the inkjet black cartridge. Okay, so to do the setup, as I mentioned, we click on create the item, and here you put the item description. So the item description I have is inkjet black cartridge. Okay, and then we put the item number. The item number is given right here. Okay, and then so you see these are all the different tabs. So I'll start with this. So you always wanted to put a minimum quantity, which is 26. So what does this means? That every time the inventory number goes below that, it gives you a warning. Then go here, we can say each inventory. Okay, we'll leave these ones checked, that's fine. So regular price of this product is 38.5 and 37.5 is preferred. 37.5 is preferred, and remove web because we don't use web. And here's the link up. So when anytime you create an inventory item, you want to make sure that we link the asset, revenue, and the cost of goods sold account, as well as the variance if you want the variance to go to a certain account. So we're going to do only the three. So the asset account for this account is 1270, and the revenue account for that is 4100, and the cost of goods sold for that account is 5010. Okay, now I move into the build-up. So build-up is, remember when we were saying if you're building an inventory, we'll use this one. Okay, so we're not going to use the build-up for any of the exercises. Statistics, that gives you the year-to-date information, that's nothing to do with the setup. Taxes, we'll leave them as default. History, this is important, this is where we're entering how much inventory we have, what is the value of that, that is 800. Okay, so I'm done with this. I can either do save and close or create another. If I do save and close, I will save it and I will close the window, then I have to open another one to add second item. Okay, just to take it easy and have it automatically move me to the next inventory item, I'm just going to take a shortcut saying create another. So now save the other one and now open the second one for me. And the second item I'll do a little bit fast. I'm going to do less talking. So name, description, so the item number, coming back from here, minimum 30, nothing here, preferred price 245, I mean the regular 245, preferred 235, nothing here. Go to link up, 1250, 4100, 5010. Okay, nothing to be changed here. We're going to go to the history tab and put 53 and the value is 7950, and then do another one, create another, then move to the third item here. Okay, starting from beginning again, 10 minimum, the pricing is 99 and 98, and the asset is 1280, 4110, 5020, then jump into the history, 16 and 1056. Okay, next item, create another, this, and the name is, the item number is this, starting from beginning again, minimum 12, the pricing is 400 and 385, and the link up 1260, 4110, and 5020. And coming to the history, we have 20 of these, and 5800 is the total value, and then create another, and this will be printer cable USB, and I'll put that here, and C01, start from beginning, minimum is 20, the pricing is 15 regular, 1450 preferred, link up 1290, 4120 for revenue, 5030 for your cost of goods sold. History, we have 50 of these, and the total value is 350. Okay, so now once I'm done, I'm done with all the inventory. I'm going to do save and close. So click save and close, and now when you come right here, you have your inventory set up for you. Okay, luckily I didn't get that message. Sometimes I see some students get a message saying, are you done with the inventory? And if you say yes, it will convert that history mode and make the company file ready. Okay, I usually prefer to print a report, make sure it matches with the report that's given to me. But again, that's like, if by chance you click by mistake, then I recommend to start it again, right? Because, or if you feel that everything was done correctly, then it's fine. Okay, but my recommendation is always make sure that you complete till the end and just follow the steps. Okay, so I'm gonna skip here, but there's a lot of information for you guys to read. Tells you everything about all these different tabs. So I want you guys to make sure you go through that, read it. This is all your information that you will see that very valuable to you. Okay, so after you finish all that, see, this was the message that I was talking about. I didn't luckily get it, but sometimes I see some people may get it depending on what they click or what they do. Okay, so when you see the message, always say no. Okay, and then you continue. So after you finish setting up all these inventory items, then I want you to do is display the inventory report and match that with this. Okay, so here is the report that's asking you to do is to pull up the inventory quantity report, and this was your inventory summary report. Okay, you can, this will only give you the dollar value, and this one will give you your give you the quantity, which is the minimum as well as the quantity you have on hand. Obviously this is not useful right now because this tells you if you order something or there's some products that's ready. I mean, there's you have sales order, purchase order. It gives you that information here as well. Okay, very useful information. Okay, so there are a couple of reports that they want us to do. So if we come here, you see this screenshot was taken from here, the one that was given to you right here. Okay, this was just a screenshot that was taken from this. So you see that the quantity and this is matching with your screen, then you're kind of comfortable that I did the history information correct. Okay, then you pull up the other reports that are right here in the inventory module, the summary, the quantity. These are the two kinds of reports that are important. You guys can try printing them and making sure you match that with the reports that's given to you right here as well as here as well. Okay, so that's your cross check. You want to make sure that you check those numbers before you move on. Okay, so once you verify those numbers, then you're ready to set up your inventory module. Okay, and obviously when we are setting the inventory to ready module to the ready mode, it cross check those numbers with your balance sheet account to make sure they agree. If they don't agree, you will get a message. Okay, if they agree, it will set the company mode to ready mode, and then you're ready to use the accounts payable, accounts receivable, as well as the inventory module. I sure that my file is right, but I'm going to try setting up the inventory. So I'll go into the history, click on this, and I see all the other modules already. Only the ones that need to be changed to ready mode is the inventory. So it gives me a warning that this process will not be changed back. So I'm okay to take the risk. So I click proceed. See, no message came. That means everything is good to go and the company file is ready to be used. So that finishes our inventory setup. Okay. So now we're ready to step number 6, recording transactions. Okay, so this part I'm not going to spend much time, so this is for you guys to complete. You change the session date and you will given some information about various things. Okay, so the primary focus for you guys to do is record transactions. That's pretty much what this chapter is about, to make you practice your accounts payable and account receivable module. Along with that, it may ask you to change the price of the product, change the description, or add few items as well. No, modify some of the inventory. That's pretty much what you are going to do. But other than that, anything that this chapter is asking you to do is already covered, or you have done that in chapter 2 and chapter 3, either 2A, 2B, 3A, 3B. Okay. So I want you guys to make sure you pay attention to these transactions. They are good practice. Okay, and at the end of this chapter, you guys are given the channel exercise that also gives you more practice about accounts receivable and accounts payable module. So you continue with these entries or the transactions that were given. Okay. Journalizing entry. So I think pretty much something that you have done already. So now what I want to do with you is I'm going to skip these transactions because this is going to be more repeatable, because there's nothing new for me to teach you guys in here. The only thing that I feel that you may be doing here is adding new accounts and adding more inventory later on. So those are the things that are new, but again, those are going to be something that you're not going to do extensively on a regular basis, because once the inventory is added, you won't change it unless you're introducing new inventory. So that's what's going to happen in this exercise. You guys will do at the end is you're going to add a service item as well. So over here that the inventory that we added, they were physical inventory, but you can also add an inventory which is a service inventory as well. Okay, so if I'm doing an accounting and tax service, I can still use the inventory module, but obviously then I don't use the physical inventory, we use the service inventory. Okay, so that means that we still have the item, but it's not going to do a cost of goods sold entry because there is no physical transfer of the inventory. So anytime we're doing a non-merchandise inventory, which is a service, you do the same process, but the only difference is that you change that to service. As soon as you click that, you see in the link up, there is no asset account. Okay, so that's the only one thing that you're going to be doing. And at the end of this chapter is you're going to add more inventory, but those are going to be the service items that you're going to be adding. Okay, so you guys will complete the chapter. At the end of this chapter, you guys will record other transactions, and also you're going to record some adjustment, and not the adjustments, you're going to be recording some transactions and then adding the service items as well. Changing the selling price, nothing different than what we were doing. And anytime you want to modify inventory, you click here, identify the item, and you can change whatever you want to change, the pricing or anything else. That's all there. Okay, so these are something that you can easily do once you have a good understanding of how this inventory module works. So the other information that's very unique that you have not done is your adjustment entry. Okay, so right now this is my inventory I have. Okay, so according to my record, I have these inventory items. Okay, so when it comes to the month end, okay, so I'll explain this to you in this chapter. Okay, okay, I'm gonna skip these exercises. They're something that you guys can easily read through and do it. So here I'll primarily focus on now to the last part, which is making an inventory adjustment. Okay, so what is inventory adjustment? So at the beginning of the month, I recorded that this is my inventory. During the month, I'll be buying inventory and I'm selling inventory. Okay, and we continue to do that on daily basis, weekly basis. Okay, and then at the end of the month, okay, what companies do is, if they know that their inventory is very valuable and they want to make sure that their accounting system is up to date all the time, what they do is they reconcile their inventory with what they have in the books versus what they have in the warehouse. Okay, they match them, and then what they do is anytime there's a discrepancy, they will make an adjustment in the accounting book. Okay, because guess what, who's going to be right? So your inventory system is going to show that you have these inventory and this is the quantity of inventory you have. And then you're going to get a report from the warehouse, and the warehouse is going to give you a report that will tell them how much inventory they have on hand physically. Okay, obviously which document is more valuable or has more value is the one that's coming from the warehouse, because it has the validation, because they physically check the inventory. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that your system has the same number. So if your system shows less inventory, you're going to increase the inventory. Okay, if that your system shows more inventory, you're going to decrease it to make sure that your inventory system matches with what the warehouse has. Okay, and any discrepancies that you have on that will be written down to the inventory adjustment account that we set up at the beginning. Okay, so to do the inventory adjustment, you're going to get a report from the warehouse, and that warehouse is going to tell you that this is the inventory that you have in the store. Okay, and anytime you're going to see a discrepancy, what you're going to do is you're going to make an adjustment. So I'm going to skip this one, right, and I'm going to assume, because right now I don't have my transaction recorded for the month, so I'm going to change my session date to January 31st just to use this as an example. Okay, and then I'm going to pull up a report from my system, the quantity report on January 31st, 2025. So now to do the inventory adjustment, you're always going to need two things. One is the report from your system. Another one is the report from the warehouse. Okay, and for this exercise that I'm doing with you, I'm going to look at that and show you the discrepancy. But when you're doing that in the test book, you're going to pull this report and you will compare that with what's given here, and whatever the difference is, you're going to increase or decrease your inventory in your system. Okay, But I'm not going to do that because I have not recorded the transactions during the month. Okay, so I'm going to assume that this is my report that I pulled from the system, that ink black cartridge I have 40. But when I have the report from the warehouse, this shows me that this particular item, which is BC1, I have 45. Okay, but according to my system, it shows 40. That means that I have either not recorded something, or there was some returns that came in, never hit the P&L. So that means that I am short in my system, or maybe I sold something from another product and may have recorded something differently. But regardless of whatever the reason is, I have to make sure that my accounting system matches with what I have physically in my store. So one of the adjustments I have to do is I have to increase my BC01 inventory by 5 of these. Then look at the inkjet printer 5-in-1. It shows 53 here, and in the warehouse it says 50. Okay, so this one I'm showing more, and the warehouse says I have 50 of these items. So what I have to do is so I'm going to write all this down. I'm going to say P001. I need to decrease it by 3, and the one before, which is the BC01, I need to increase it by 5 because that one's supposed to be 45. This one is okay. I have 16, it matches. The laser, it matches. Printer cable, I have 50 here. In the warehouse, it says 48. So that means I need to decrease this item, which is C01, by 2 of these product. Okay, so these are my adjustments at the end of the month. So now to do the inventory adjustment, what you need is you need a report from your system, you need a report from the warehouse, and you compare that. And if the warehouse says more, you're going to increase it. If the warehouse says less, you're going to decrease it. And at the end of the day, your numbers should match with what the numbers you have from the warehouse. The other part that we're saying why those numbers are different, that's something they need to investigate. But as an accountant, I'm more worried about is making that adjustment. So now I identify the mistakes as saying, okay, well, I compare your report with my report, and I already wrote down what my discrepancies is. Now, how do we record them in the system? So to record that, you go into adjust inventory. So here, I'm going to make a source. I'm going to say physical count of inventory. Okay, here, do the same thing. I'm just going to copy this description by manager, and now I identify the item. The first item I have is PC01, and I'm increasing it, so I put +5. Then I have second item, which is the P001. Okay, this one I'm decreasing it by 3, and then we have the C01, and I decreased by 2. Okay, so all you have to do is just don't worry about anything else but to change these numbers with the quantity. And you can check your adjustment entry if you want. Report, display my adjustment entry. It's going to debit or credit those adjustments, and also going to do the opposite with the asset account. So this inventory is increasing, so we are debiting the inventory, and the inventory that are decreasing, we are crediting. So obviously it's showing up the net amount. Okay, and then the other side is your asset account. See, this inventory is increasing, these inventories are decreasing, and whatever the net is gets posting to an account called inventory adjustment. Okay, I don't worry too much about the entry because it's generated by the system, and I click post. Okay, so that's how you do the adjustment entry for the inventory. Okay, so that's an important exercise, and then I'll definitely say that if you are going to be getting tested in the final exam, and I will definitely say that inventory adjustment is an important type of adjustment that the company has to do at the end of the year or at the end of the quarter or the end of the month. So if the company is using, you will given that information and you will record that adjustment entry. Okay. And obviously to do that, you need to compare two pieces. And once you identify that those discrepancies, then you record them into the system. Okay. And then later on this exercise at the end, they also ask you to build a material. So this is something that is not going to be tested in your exam, but you guys can create an inventory from the package. So what this exercise is asking you to do is to create a package which will combine few of the inventory item. Okay, so it's asking to create an item using these different products. Okay, so they're creating one package by using one of these. So what they're doing is they're creating a bundle box that the customers can purchase together. And once you create it, then you're going to build that through a bill of material. Okay, so you guys will follow these steps to create a bill of material. Okay, it's actually is an important task, but it has to be done step by step. Okay, you can skip this exercise if you want to, but actually this is an important exercise which kind of gives you a little bit more understanding of how do you build a package from the existing inventory. Okay, and to summarize this into a nutshell is two-step process. Once you identify an inventory, you create it. Okay, and in that you're going to use this feature called build. Okay, and you're going to see how many packages going to create. You say that this package is a one package which combines these items. Okay, that's what you're going to do. Okay, and then you also do the other stuff, which is a link up, and you're not putting any minimum quantity. Once that part is done, you close your inventory setup, and then you're gonna second step is you're gonna build that from bill of material, and you will enter that information. You say, okay, well, I'm making 5 packages. I don't know how many are. Yes, they are making 5 packages. So what it's going to do is going to take one of the item from each of the inventory that is here and create 5 items by taking one of each, because obviously it's creating 5 packages that includes one of these items. Okay, and then you'll see it will do an entry by taking away the inventory from there and creating a new inventory, which is the inventory package deal. Okay, and then after that you can view your entry and view your inventory summary as well, and that shows you now you have this packages. There's 5 of these packages, and then 5 of the inventories decreased from those 4 items that you have. Okay, this part will not be tested in your exam, but it's an important exercise. If you feel that you want to do that, just make sure you go through that. If there's any question, you're most welcome to ask me, and then we can explain that one-on-one. Okay, so that's wrapped up this chapter, and I'll definitely recommend you guys to spend some time to make sure you go through this chapter. This kind of gives you practice on the account receivable and accounts payable as well. I'm not going to assign you any challenge exercise at the back of this test book, but you're most welcome to do at least one. There's 3 challenge exercises that you have at the end of this chapter, so you're most welcome to do one of that, and that will also include the setup of inventory. I think it doesn't include the setup. It does include some modification into that into the inventory module, but it does include the inventory adjustment at the end. Okay, so you can skip the setup. You can skip the challenge exercise, but focus on chapter and make sure you do everything from beginning till the end. Okay, so this wraps up this chapter, and if there's any question or concern you have, you're most welcome to bring that to the class or send me a message on a Blackboard. I'll be more than happy to talk or discuss that in the class with you. Okay, all right, take care everyone. Have yourself a great day and a weekend and a week as well, and I'll see you in the class. Bye for now.